Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube audiobook series of The Snake and the Rose, written by Abby Matthies. I am Abby, and I will be reading Chapter 4, My Explanation. If you missed Chapter 3, I would highly suggest going back, link in the description. And if you are all caught up, we are just going to go ahead and continue on. Hope you enjoy.
Look, I don't know much about what's going on, and I am sorry that I don't. I started saying to Abby as she looked at me with horror in her eyes. But what I do know is that I was sent here to be your protector demon. I don't know what that all entails. I have no clue what I would be protecting you from, whether it's from other demons or other people. I don't know. I am here, and like it or not, you and me are stuck together. Panic started to slowly rise out of Abby as I told her, and I can visibly see it. I knew that this situation was extremely hard to take in, but something made me think that she didn't hold her emotions back very well.
That still doesn't explain the fact what happened.
She exclaimed, waving her arms around. She then continued her sentence.
Were you in my body?
Yes, technically I was in your body. Abby started to freak out as I tried to calm her down and reassure her.
Why did that happen?
Every time you and me touch at this point, that same thing is going to happen.
What? Why every time? Why is that even a thing?
It's because I don't have control over it. It's apparently a power thing. Eventually, I will be able to gain control over when and how we switch. I watched as Abby tried to hold back her emotions and not flip asinine. She had her hands to her mouth and was trying to think. I assumed about the questions to ask me. After a second, she began to speak again.
If you're somehow stuck with me, does that mean that others can see you?
No, I don't think anyone else can see me but you. I was here earlier when you were talking to your mom, and neither of you saw me at that point. And before you ask, I don't know why you can see me now rather than before,
Oh, great!
she said sarcastically.
So I just look nuts because no one else can see you. I look like I am talking to nothing.
I understand, I interrupted as she was about to go on a rant. I get it. You're confused, and you think that you're nuts. But I can promise you that you're not. But at this point, you're just gonna have to watch when you talk to me like this.
But wait a minute. Wait. Speaking of communication, you were talking to me in my head earlier. What was that?
I'm assuming that is another power that I have gained with being a protector demon. I am also assuming that you have it too. I only was assuming that though. I wasn't positive if it worked that way or not. But it would have made sense if she did. That way we could talk in secret if she needed to. I seen the terror rising in Abby again as she started processing what I just said.
I have it. What do you mean I have it?
It's just a form of communication. I think. I hope. I muttered at the end of the sentence.
You hope? You better fucking hope! I am not willing to look crazy to the rest of the world because of some random demon being paired with me.
She screamed at me to my face. She started muttering to herself in dread. I tried to mollify the tension Abby had by continuing to speak. Like I said, I know you think you're nuts, but
You are a demon.
She spat out, interrupting my sentence. She stared at me with certainty and agitation.
You are a demon standing in my room. You have horns and were sent from hell.
I know.
Why were you sent up here? Why? Why?
She said in a demanding tone. I don't have all the answers right now. After that, we both eyeballed each other for a little bit. I was trying to think about what else to say as I continued feeling bad for this girl. She was having fun and having a good time doing whatever the hell she does. Yet, now she was living the worst nightmare of her life, being stuck with a demon. I know it will be extremely hard for her to get used to me. For fuck's sake, I don't know if she will ever be okay with me. But the only thing I could give her at this point was time. After a moment, she broke the silence.
So what can you do as my protector demon?
I stood there stunned. That was a question I wasn't prepared for. Matter of fact, that was a question I didn't even know. I looked at her for a moment and seeing her intently waiting for my answer. I knew she wanted an explanation to what I could do, but I had to give her a different answer. I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? How do you not know?
I was just thrown into this. No one explained anything to me. I don't even know what a protector demon is supposed to do. I sternly told her as my emotions were starting to expose themselves. As Abby started to speak again, a sudden pain started to strike my head. I raised my hands up to my head as pictures and sounds started to flow into it. I suddenly began seeing pictures of Abby in a long purple bridesmaid's dress. She had her hair curled and had a half up, half down hairstyle. She was arm linked with another man and walking down the aisle of someone's wedding. The wedding seemed to have taken place in a backyard that I assumed was her own. I started hearing music and laughter. The picture faded and another one appeared. It was of her hugging the bride. Looking at the picture closer, I noticed that they looked similar to each other. Then, out of the blue, I heard a voice say,
Abby, come take a picture with your sister.
the bride must be Abby's sister. That would make sense why they looked alike. The picture began to fade, and the pain along with it.
Wait a minute. What's the matter? What's wrong?
You were a bridesmaid for your sister's wedding. It was in your own backyard. Abby suddenly turned her head to what I assumed was her backyard that was located behind me from where I was standing. She turned back to me and started talking again.
How do you know that? I never told you that.
She exclaimed. I don't know, it flashed in my memory, I explained. But then a thought dawned on me as I gave it a quick thought. I think I can look back into your memories.
What? No.
She spoke aloud and continued to mumble onward. As I was trying to understand her jumble of words, I heard whispers of sentences starting to speak in my head. The whispers started to echo as they started to vocalize.
All right, Abby. This is not happening. This is not happening. Just close your eyes, count to 3, and everything will be back to normal. Just breathe. Count.
I could recognize the voice that was speaking in my head. It was Abby's and I couldn't believe it. I was listening to her speak. I started to wonder if that was what I sounded like to her when I was talking in her head earlier. I looked at Abby and seen that she wasn't moving her lips though. Then, I I suddenly started to realize that she wasn't talking to me. She was trying to think. This must have been how she was trying to calm herself down. The sentences that formed in my head made me think that she was relating the situation to a dream. She must have thought that if she had focused hard enough, her life would reset. I began to reach my arms out to speak to her. Abby, I'm not going to touch you, but closing your eyes is not going to help. This isn't a dream. She looked up from her hands and began to process the sentences that just came out of my mouth. As she thought upon it, her face changed from troubled to fearful. As she tried to form establishing words, she started to point and shake her hand at me.
I never said that. I never said that. How do you know that?
I know you didn't say that. I paused for a moment. But I heard you think it.
No, you can't know.
Silence formed between us again. As the silence continued, I started to hear her thoughts again.
Pumpernickel.
I started to figure out what she was trying to do. Pumpernickel. I repeated out loud.
Cosplay.
Cosplay.
I love all my family and friends.
You love all your family and friends.
All right. How about this one, tough guy?
After that sentence, I was fed up with her charade. Stop testing me with your thoughts, I scolded. She then shook herself, stopping herself from thinking anymore.
I'm sorry. You can hear my thoughts.
Yes, I can hear them. Every one.
I have no privacy anymore. You can hear my thoughts.
And I'm sorry. I don't know, Abby. Just as I finished that sentence, another memory of Abby's flooded my head again. I took in the details of the memory as she was freaking out.
What's happening now? What now?
You broke your arm when you were 5. You were at a park and your parents drove you to the hospital. You were watching SpongeBob as they were realigning your bones. At this point, Abby began to lose it. She was mumbling over her words and speaking rapidly. The only word that I could understand was the word no. Finally, one full sentence came out of her mouth.
I need to breathe. I need to breathe.
As I tried to speak to her, she ran past me, opened the door, and walked out. I chose not to follow her and give her some space. I understood that this was a lot to take in. Even for me it was. I went from spending 13 years of my life making deals with the less unfortunate to now being paired with a religious girl who thinks I am the worst thing to roam the earth. However, I knew she was having a harder time with all of it. Just this morning, she was living her ordinary life, and within an instant, she was thrown into this chaos. I figured that she needed time to calm down and process all the information. After some time had passed, I started to feel some sort of energy spreading throughout my body. I looked upon myself and didn't see any physical changes happening, but I knew I felt something. I never had any sort of feeling like this before, so why was I feeling it now? Just upon that thought, I was abruptly teleported to Abby as she was leaning up against a wall.
What are you doing in my basement?
I don't know. Before I was up in your room and now I'm down here. She stared at me with gaping eyes. I could hear each one of her thoughts as it was drilled into my head. Where did he come from? How did he get down here? Why is this happening to me? A thought of my own appeared in my head that made me want to crawl in my skin a little bit. I don't think we can split up. I think I have to travel where you go. Abby began to panic like she did before. She mumbled over her words again and spoke rapidly. She walked past me and ran upstairs to get away from me. What? Where are you going now? I stood there in place for a minute to test my theory, and just like before, I was teleported up to her room where she was standing.
Stop that!
She yelled as I appeared again abruptly. I lifted my hands in frustration and glared at Abby. Well, I'm sorry, I can't control that. If you had stopped walking around trying to get away from me, we wouldn't have this issue. She put her hand out like she was going to speak, but no words came out of her mouth. She instead closed her eyes and recollected herself.
Why were you sent to protect me? I believe in God and religion. Aren't I supposed to have a guardian angel?
I would think so. That would have made more logical sense looking at your perspective on demons, but I guess not. I said, replying to her question. All I know is that one day I was roaming the earth making deals with humans, and the next, I'm a protector demon.
You're telling me that you roamed this earth before you were my protector demon making deals?
She asked while expressing her emotions with her hands. Yes. Long story short, I made a deal with Satan himself, and I was turned into a demon. I used to be human, and now I'm a demon forced to work for him.
You are literally Johnny Blaze from Ghost Rider right now. Like,
you don't need to freak out about that right now. That's not important. I interrupted.
What do you mean this isn't important?
Abby, focus. As I said that, she grunted in frustration. She turned herself away while I was trying to collect myself from the stress the situation was giving me. After some time, Abby turned back to me and spoke again.
So what's the meaning of this? Why did you switch jobs?
I don't know why I switched jobs. Again, one moment I was making deals, and the next I'm protecting a random child.
I am 20 years old. I have a high school diploma and an associate's degree in graphic design. I am currently enrolled in an interactive media design program to attain another associate's degree in that career field. I want to go out and I want to do
She paused abruptly, staring at me again. I was shocked about the information I heard. She was older than what I thought. And if this was true, why was I sent to protect a 20-year-old? Wouldn't I be of better use for a younger child? Abby came to her senses and began to talk again.
Why am I talking about this with you? You're a demon!
Well, like it or not, I'm your protector demon.
Quit saying protector demon. You are a demon that hunts and preys on the innocent people on this earth.
She exclaimed at the top of her lungs. She was lucky her mom wasn't listening to our conversation. She would have probably sat Abby down for a talk. After reflecting a little on her comment, I began to speak. You seriously think that I'm going to go and hunt on the innocent?
Yes!
I was one of the innocent. I wanted to save my son from cancer. That's why I made the deal with Satan. That's why I am who I am. I'm not just gonna go around and prey on the innocent, as you call it. I already did enough of that making deals. I glared at Abby with fury after that. I couldn't believe what nonsense was coming out of this girl's mouth. I get it. I am a big, scary demon. But fucking damn it, if she would just shut her mouth and listen to me, she would be able to realize that I wasn't like the other demons. As this conversation kept going, I was losing my patience and just began to run my mouth like she was. Whether you like it or not, I am your protector demon, and I am supposed to be protecting you.
You're supposed to. That doesn't mean you have to. For all I know, you could be lying to me about your whole tragic backstory. You are still a demon. You still do bad things, and even if for some reason you don't prey on the innocent, you are still gonna possess my body. You are gonna take control like you did before and do shit that I don't want you to do.
I started to step closer to Abby as she was beginning to piss me off. For fuck's sake, Abby, how many times do I need to tell you this? I am not here to cause harm or go against your wishes.
How can I trust you? You're a demon.
If you think I'm such a bad demon, go ahead and piss me off like you are currently doing. You'll find out how much of a bad demon I could be.
See? I told you, this is exactly what you demons do!
She shouted at me. Then with one swift motion, she extended her arms out and pushed me away from her. I stumbled back a little in shock that she pushed me. I looked at her, and I could see she was becoming weary. She started to lose her balance and fell to the floor. As that happened, I began to feel lightheaded and weak again. My vision became blurry, and I eventually ended up on the floor, laying next to Abby.
This has been Chapter 4 of The Snake and the Rose by Abby Matthies. Tune into the next video for Chapter 5. Thank you for listening.